The universe was screaming for help, but no one was listening. No one except Jake Martinez, who sat in front of his computer screen at 3 in the morning, drinking cold coffee and watching radio waves from deep space. Jake worked at the Arecibo Deep Space Monitoring Station in Puerto Rico. His job was boring most nights. He listened to stars and empty space, recording sounds that meant nothing to most people. But tonight was different. Tonight something was calling back. The signal came from far away, farther than any human had ever traveled. It was not random noise from a dying star or the whisper of cosmic wind. This was a message, and it was desperate. "Lisa, get down here right now." Jake called to Dr. Lisa Brooks, who was sleeping in the break room upstairs. Lisa was a language expert who studied how aliens might talk. Most people thought her job was silly, but Jake knew better. Lisa ran down the stairs, still wearing her pajamas. Her hair was messy and she had pillow marks on her face. "What is it, Jake? Did you find something?" "Listen to this," Jake said, playing the recording. Strange sounds filled the room. They were not random beeps or clicks. They had patterns like words in a language no human had ever heard. Lisa sat down and listened. Her eyes grew wide. She grabbed a notebook and started writing symbols as fast as she could. "Play it again," she said. "And again. Keep playing it." For 6 hours they worked together. Jake cleaned up the signal while Lisa broke down the sounds into pieces. She had studied thousands of human languages, and she looked for patterns that all thinking creatures might use. As the sun came up, Lisa finally looked at Jake with tears in her eyes. "Jake, this is it. This is first contact, and they are asking for help." The message was simple but terrifying. It told of 7 peaceful alien races called the Cathara Coalition. They had lived in peace for thousands of years, sharing knowledge and building beautiful worlds together. But now something horrible was destroying them. The Vorth Empire had come from the dark edges of space like hungry wolves. They did not want to trade or talk. They wanted to consume everything. The Vorth ate planets, turning green worlds into dead rocks. They took alien children as slaves and killed anyone who fought back. "We are dying," the message said. "Our weapons cannot stop them. Our cities burn. Our children cry in the darkness. If anyone can hear this, if anyone has the power to fight these demons, please help us. We will give you anything. We will share all our knowledge. Just please help us survive." Jake and Lisa stared at each other. They were just 2 people sitting in a room, but they held the most important message in human history. "We have to tell someone," Lisa whispered. "Tell who?" Jake asked. "The president? The military, NASA? Who do you call when aliens ask for help?" "All of them," Lisa said. Within hours, the small monitoring station was full of important people. Scientists, generals, and government officials flew in from around the world. President Harrison himself came to hear the alien message. Dr. Lisa Brooks played the recording again and again, explaining what each part meant. The aliens had sent star maps showing where their worlds were located. They had sent pictures of the Vorth Empire's ships, huge black things that looked like metal insects. They had sent images of their own people, strange but beautiful creatures with too many arms or eyes like crystals. Admiral Ben Clark, the head of Earth's Space Navy, was the first to speak up. "We have to help them," he said. "This is what we have been preparing for. We have ships, weapons, and soldiers. We cannot let genocide happen while we do nothing." But Secretary of Defense Amy Walsh was worried. "Our ships have never traveled that far," she said. "We do not know how strong the Vorth are. What if this is a trap? What if we are walking into a war we cannot win?" President Harrison listened to both sides. He was a careful man who did not like making quick decisions about war. But the alien message played in his mind over and over. He thought about his own children and what he would do if monsters came for them. "We will help them," he decided, "but we will be smart about it. We will send our best people and our strongest ships. If these Vorth want to fight, we will give them one they will never forget." Admiral Clark smiled. He had been hoping for this answer. "I know exactly who to send," he said. "Captain Rick Stone, he is our best deep space commander. If anyone can handle first contact with hostile aliens, it is him." Captain Stone was called to the White House that same day. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had fought in 3 wars on Earth and had never lost a battle. When he heard the alien message, his face became hard as stone. "How long until my ship is ready?" he asked. "The UES Retribution was just finished last month," Admiral Clark said. "She is the most powerful ship we have ever built. But Stone, you understand this is not just about fighting. You will be representing all of humanity. These aliens will judge our entire species based on what you do. Captain Stone nodded. What is my crew? Your best people, Clark said. Lieutenant Sam Turner for tactics, Kate Phillips for engineering, and Dr. Alex Harper for medical. They are all volunteers, and they all know this might be a one-way trip. Over the next week, the UES Retribution prepared to leave Earth. The ship was huge, built like a floating city with enough weapons to destroy an entire fleet, but it was also designed for long journeys into unknown space, with gardens and libraries and rooms where humans could feel at home even millions of miles from Earth. Captain Stone met with his crew on the day before launch. They stood on the bridge looking out at Earth through the main window. It was beautiful and blue and peaceful. Nothing like the war-torn worlds they were flying toward. Tomorrow we make history, Stone told them. We answer a call for help from people we have never met. We may be flying into hell itself, but we are human beings, and human beings do not abandon their friends. Lieutenant Sam Turner raised his hand. Sir, what if we are not strong enough? What if the Vorth are more powerful than us? Captain Stone smiled, and for a moment he looked less like a soldier and more like a father. Then we will teach them what we learned fighting each other for thousands of years. We will show them what happens when you threaten something humans care about. The next morning, the UES Retribution left Earth's orbit and disappeared into the stars, carrying humanity's answer to the desperate alien plea. Behind them, every government on Earth began preparing for war. If their first contact team found trouble, they would not face it alone. In space, the alien message continued broadcasting, growing weaker with each passing day. But now it had been heard and help was coming. The Vorth Empire had no idea what they had awakened. The edge of Kithara space looked like a graveyard of dreams. Captain Rick Stone stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching thousands of alien ships fleeing through the darkness. These were not warships, but refugee vessels packed with families running from something terrible. My God, whispered Dr. Alex Harper, the ship's medical officer. She was looking at the scanner readings that showed how many life forms were crammed into each escape ship. There are children on those vessels. Thousands of them. Captain Stone felt anger building in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. Sam, scan for any Kithra military ships. Kate, prepare our translation systems. We need to make contact. Lieutenant Sam Turner worked at the tactical station, his fingers moving quickly over the controls. Sir, I'm picking up what looks like a command ship about 10,000 kilometers ahead. It is damaged but still functional. Hail them, Stone ordered. The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at their first alien. Admiral Velshan of the Kithara Defense Fleet looked like a cross between a praying mantis and a butterfly. Her skin was pale green, and she had 4 arms that moved gracefully as she spoke. Her large eyes were filled with sadness and hope. Unknown vessel, Velshan said through the translation system. Please identify yourself. Are you here to help us or destroy us? We have lost so much already. Captain Stone stepped forward. Admiral Velshan, I am Captain Rick Stone of the Earthship UES Retribution. We received your distress signal. We are here to help. Velshan's eyes grew even larger. Earth? You are the ones who answered our call? But your world is so far away. How did you travel such a distance? We came as fast as we could, Stone said. Tell me about your enemy. We need to understand what we are fighting. Over the next few hours, Admiral Velshan explained the horror that had fallen upon her people. The Vorth Empire came from the dark reaches of space where dying stars cast no light. They were creatures of violence who had never learned to build anything beautiful. Instead, they took what others had made. They do not just conquer our worlds, Velshan said, her voice shaking. They strip them bare. They take our children as slaves and leave nothing but dead rock behind. We have tried to reason with them, but they see mercy as weakness. Dr. Alex Harper had been listening quietly, but now she spoke up. Admiral, how many people have you lost? Billions, Velshan answered. Entire star systems. The Vorth move like a plague, consuming everything in their path. Our weapons are designed to defend, not to destroy. We do not know how to fight monsters. Lieutenant Sam Turner looked up from his station. Captain, I am detecting Vorth ships in the next system. A large fleet, maybe 200 vessels. They are attacking a planet called Xerion 7. Captain Stone felt the familiar cold feeling he got before every battle. Can we save that world? Not with just one ship, Turner said. The Vorth fleet is too big. Then we watch and learn, Stone decided. Sam, take a stealth shuttle and get close enough to observe their tactics. Kate, start recording everything. We need to understand how these creatures fight. Kate Phillips, the chief engineer, frowned at her controls. Captain, our stealth systems were designed to hide from human sensors. We do not know if they will work against alien technology. Only one way to find out, Stone said. Sam, take Dr. Harper with you. If there are survivors on Zerion 7, we need medical intelligence about Vorth weapons. Lieutenant Turner and Dr. Harper took the stealth shuttle Shadow and flew toward the battle. What they saw there would haunt them forever. Zerion 7 had been a beautiful farming world where millions of peaceful aliens grew food for their neighbors. Now it was burning. The Vorth ships looked like metal wasps, black and angular and ugly. They fired red beams that cut through cities like knives through paper. They are not trying to capture the planet, Turner said into his radio. They are destroying it on purpose. This is not war, it is murder. Dr. Harper watched Vorth ground forces landing near the ruins of alien cities. The Vorth themselves were huge, twice as tall as humans with thick gray skin and too many teeth. They moved like predators hunting down any aliens who tried to hide. They are taking prisoners, Harper reported, but only the young ones. Everyone else, she could not finish the sentence. Turner recorded everything with cold, professional focus. The Vorth used simple but effective tactics. They surrounded their enemies, used overwhelming firepower, and showed no mercy to anyone who surrendered. They fought like bullies who had never met anyone willing to hit back. Captain, Turner called back to the Retribution, I have seen enough. These creatures are strong, but they are not smart. They rely on fear and numbers. They have never faced an enemy that fights back with equal violence. When the shuttle returned, Captain Stone gathered his senior officers in the briefing room. They watched the recordings from Zerion 7 in silence. The images of burning cities and fleeing families filled the room with anger. Assessment? Stone asked. They are apex predators from a high-gravity world, Dr. Harper said. Strong and tough, but not particularly intelligent. They use crude weapons and simple tactics. Most importantly, they are used to fighting prey, not predators. Lieutenant Turner nodded. Sir, they fight like they have never lost a battle. They are overconfident and predictable. If we hit them hard enough and fast enough, we can break their morale. Kate Phillips had been studying the technical data. Their ships are powerful but not advanced. They use brute force instead of clever engineering. Our weapons should be more than effective against them. Captain Stone stood up and walked to the window looking out at the refugee fleet. Somewhere out there, Admiral Velshan was trying to save what remained of her people, while monsters destroyed everything she had ever loved. Send a message to Earth Command, Stone said. Tell Admiral Clark we need reinforcements. All of them. The Sol Defense Fleet, the Marine Corps, everything we have. Sir? Turner asked. Are we going to war? No, Stone said, his voice hard as ice. We are going to show the Vorth Empire what happens when Deathworlders come to help. We are going to end this permanently. Within days, Admiral Ben Clark's response arrived by quantum communication. Reinforcements on the way. The dreadnought UES Devastator under Captain Tony Reeves will arrive in 2 weeks, along with the entire Third Fleet. Show them what Earth's children can do, Captain. Stone smiled for the first time since leaving Earth. The Vorth had spent centuries terrorizing peaceful aliens who fought by the rules of civilization. But humans were different. Humans came from a world where everything tried to kill everything else, and they had spent millennia learning to kill back. Admiral Velshan visited the Retribution before the human fleet arrived. She walked through the ship's corridors, amazed by what she saw. The humans had built a vessel that was both a home and a weapon, designed for long voyages and terrible battles. Your people are so different from us, she told Captain Stone. We build to create beauty. You build to survive anything. That is what makes us perfect for this job, Stone replied. Admiral, I want you to spread word to all Kithra ships. Tell them help is coming, and it is like nothing the Vorth have ever seen. Tell them to be ready to fight because we are going to teach your people something we learned long ago. What is that? Velshan asked. Sometimes peace can only be won through superior firepower, Stone said, and nobody in this galaxy has more firepower than angry humans. The arrival of the human fleet changed everything. Admiral Velshan had never seen so many warships in one place, and these were not like any vessels the Kithara had ever built. Where alien ships were curved and beautiful, human ships were angular and threatening. They looked like metal sharks swimming through the darkness of space. Captain Tony Reeves commanded the dreadnought UES Devastator, a ship so large it had its own city inside. When he met with Captain Stone and Admiral Velshan, his first words were simple. "Where do you want us to kill them?" Velshan was shocked by the humans' directness. Her people had spent months trying to find peaceful solutions, ways to negotiate with the Vorth. The humans had traveled across the galaxy, and their first question was about the best way to destroy their enemies. "Captain Reeves," she said carefully, "perhaps we should try to communicate with the Vorth first. Maybe we can find a way to end this without more violence." Both human captains stared at her. Then Captain Stone spoke in a voice that was patient but firm. "Admiral, we watched recordings of what they did to Zerion 7. We saw them hunting children for sport. These are not people you negotiate with. These are monsters you exterminate." Colonel Pete Davis, who commanded the Marine Corps 3rd Expeditionary Force, had been listening quietly. Now he stepped forward. "Ma'am, with respect, my people come from a world where everything tries to eat everything else. We know predators when we see them. The Vorth understand only one language, violence. So we will speak to them in their own language, but we will speak it better than they ever dreamed possible." The Kithra had never heard anyone talk about war this way. To them, fighting was something you did only when you had no choice and you used the least force possible. The humans spoke about battle like it was an art form they had been perfecting for thousands of years. Commander Nina Garcia, who oversaw naval tactics, spread star charts across the conference table. "We have identified 17 Vorth fleet positions," she said. "They are spread thin because they think no one can challenge them. We are going to prove them wrong." Lieutenant Colonel Roy Mitchell, a veteran of Earth's corporate wars, pointed to the nearest Vorth position. "This is Zerion 7, where they are still strip mining the planet. 200 Vorth ships, maybe 50,000 ground troops. We hit them first hard and fast. We make an example that the rest of the galaxy will never forget." "What kind of example?" Velshan asked, though she was not sure she wanted to know the answer. Mitchell smiled, and it was not a nice smile. The kind that makes their friends afraid to sleep at night. "Admiral, your people fight to defend. We fight to win. There is a big difference." Over the next week, the humans turned the refugee fleet staging area into a military base. They built supply depots, weapon platforms, and communication arrays with frightening speed. The Kithra watched in amazement as human engineers solved in days problems that would have taken them months to figure out. But it was not just the technology that impressed them. It was the way humans thought about war. Every decision was made with one goal: destroy the enemy completely and quickly so the war would end and peace could return. Captain Stone called a meeting of all senior officers, human and Cathara alike. The briefing room was packed with beings from 2 different worlds, but they all shared the same goal now. "The Battle of Zerion 7 begins in 72 hours, Stone announced. "This will be our first real test against the Vorth, and it will set the tone for everything that comes after. Captain Reeves will command the fleet action. Colonel Davis will handle ground operations if needed." "Questions?" A young Cathara officer raised one of her 4 hands.
"Captain Stone, what if the Vorth surrender?"
"What if they offer to withdraw from our territory?" The room went quiet. The humans looked at each other with expressions the Cathara could not read. Finally, Colonel Davis answered. "Ma'am, we watched what they did to your people on Zerion 7. We saw the mass graves and the slave pens. If they surrender, we will accept it. But we will also make sure they never have the power to hurt anyone ever again." "What does that mean?" the young officer asked. "It means we disarm their entire empire," Captain Reeves said. "We destroy their war machine and occupy their homeworld until we are satisfied they have learned to behave. We do not just win wars, we make sure they stay won." Admiral Velshan felt a chill run through her body. The humans were talking about conquering an entire interstellar empire as if it were a simple task. She was beginning to understand why Captain Stone had called his people Deathworlders. The Battle of Zerion 7 began exactly on schedule. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system, where 200 Vorth ships were finishing their destruction of the farming world. The Vorth commander, a brutal creature named Thekgor, saw the human ships on his screens and laughed. He had destroyed 100 worlds and killed billions of soft creatures who thought words could stop weapons. These new aliens would be no different. "Attack," he ordered. "Show these weaklings what real warriors can do." The Vorth fleet charged forward in the same formation they had used successfully for centuries. They outnumbered the human ships 3-1 and had bigger weapons. By every rule of space combat they had learned, this should be an easy victory. They were wrong about everything. The human fleet split into 3 groups and attacked from different angles. Their ships moved faster than Vorth vessels and hit harder than anything the Empire had ever faced. But it was not just superior technology that won the battle. It was superior thinking. Captain Reeves had studied every recording of Vorth tactics. He knew exactly how they would attack and had prepared counters for every move they might make. While the Vorth tried to use brute force, the humans used precision, speed, and overwhelming firepower focused on critical targets. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it was over, not a single Vorth ship survived to report what had happened. The humans had not just won. They had achieved something that had never happened before in Vorth history: complete annihilation of an entire fleet. But the humans were not finished. Colonel Davis led his Marines to the surface of Zerion 7, where Vorth ground forces were still hunting for surviving Cathara civilians. The Marines moved through the ruins of alien cities like avenging angels, rescuing prisoners and destroying enemy positions with surgical precision. The Vorth ground commander, General Krakfor, had fought 1,000 battles against species who valued mercy above victory. He expected the humans to offer him terms for surrender, to negotiate for the lives of hostages, to show the weakness that all civilized creatures showed. Instead, Colonel Davis sent him a simple message: "You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally and release all prisoners. If you refuse, we will demonstrate why human beings are the apex predators of our homeworld." General Krakfor chose to fight. It was the last mistake he ever made. When the battle ended, Admiral Velshan walked through the liberated city with Dr. Alex Harper. They found Cathara families hiding in basements, afraid to believe their nightmare was finally over. Harper worked tirelessly to treat the wounded while Velshan tried to comprehend what she had witnessed. "Your people are terrifying," she told Captain Stone as they stood in the ruins of what had once been Zerion 7's capital city. "Only to our enemies," Stone replied. "Admiral, the Vorth have spent centuries teaching the galaxy that violence always wins. That might makes right. Today we taught them a different lesson. When you threaten innocent people, you do not face their victims. You face us, and we do not lose." Word of the Battle of Zerion 7 spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. For the first time in centuries, the Vorth Empire had suffered a complete defeat. More importantly, it had been defeated by creatures the Vorth had never encountered before. Predators who were smarter, faster, and more ruthless than they were. The human war machine was fully awake now, and it was hungry. The news of Zerion 7 reached Vorth Prime like a shockwave through the Empire. Warlord Grakthor, supreme commander of all Vorth forces, stared at the empty space where his communication screen had been showing Fleet Commander Thekagor just hours before. Now there was only silence. "Impossible," he growled to his advisors. "No one destroys an entire Vorth fleet. These reports must be wrong." But the reports kept coming. Surveillance drones from nearby systems confirmed the truth. Zerion 7 was free, its Kithara population rescued, and every single Vorth ship had been destroyed. Worse yet, the aliens who had done this were completely unknown. They called themselves humans, and they fought like nothing the Vorth had ever encountered. General Vekthar, Grakthor's chief military advisor, studied the battle recordings with growing concern. "My lord, these humans use tactics we have never seen. They coordinate their attacks perfectly, strike from multiple angles, and show no mercy to defeated enemies. They are just another soft species," Grakthor snarled. "They got lucky at Zerion 7, nothing more. I will personally lead our greatest fleet and crush them like insects." But even as he spoke, more bad news arrived. Human ships had been spotted throughout Vorth territory, appearing without warning to rescue Cathara refugees or attack isolated Vorth outposts. These were not random raids. They were part of a carefully planned campaign. Captain Maya Brooks, daughter of Captain Rick Stone, commanded the stealth ship UES Shadow. Her mission was simple: make the Vorth Empire afraid of the dark. Her ship could appear anywhere, strike without warning, and disappear before the enemy could respond. She led her crew on raids deep into Vorth space, hitting supply convoys and communication stations. But Maya was not just destroying military targets. She was conducting psychological warfare on a scale the galaxy had never seen. After each attack, she left behind a message in the Vorth language. "This is what happens when you threaten children. We are coming for all of you. Surrender now or face the full wrath of humanity." The messages spread panic throughout the Vorth Empire. For the first time in their history, Fourth commanders went to sleep not knowing if they would wake up. Their patrols found empty bases with all equipment destroyed, and only human warnings burned into the metal walls. Meanwhile, Admiral Ben Clark had arrived with Earth's entire deep space fleet. The sight of so many human warships gathering at the edge of Kithara space sent tremors of fear through every Vorth world. These were not exploration vessels or trading ships. They were engines of war, built by a species that had spent millennia perfecting the art of destroying its enemies. General Laura Kim commanded the Terran Expeditionary Army, the largest military force Earth had ever sent beyond its solar system. She met with the other human commanders to plan what they called Operation Deathworld, the complete destruction of the Vorth Empire's ability to wage war. Gentlemen and ladies, she said to the assembled officers, we are not here to occupy Vorth territory or rule their people. We are here to solve a problem. The problem is that a gang of bullies has been terrorizing peaceful species for centuries. Our job is to make sure they never do it again. Captain Stone had been studying intelligence reports from Maya's raids. General, the Vorth leadership is concentrated on their homeworld. If we can break their command structure and destroy their main fleet, the rest of the Empire will collapse. Agreed, General Kim said. But this warlord Grakthor is gathering everything he has for one massive battle. Our intelligence suggests he is bringing over 1,000 ships to defend Vorth Prime. Colonel Davis, who had become something of a legend among the Kithera after Zarian 7, smiled grimly. Let him come. We have been fighting each other on Earth for so long that we forgot how easy it is to beat enemies who only know one way to fight. The final confrontation began when Warlord Grakthor's massive fleet arrived at Vorth Prime. He had gathered every available warship, calling in vessels from across the Empire. His force was the largest military fleet ever assembled in galactic history, over 1,200 ships carrying millions of Vorth warriors. Grakthor stood on the bridge of his flagship, a massive dreadnought called Death's Shadow, and felt confident for the first time since the disaster at Zarian 7. No force in the galaxy could stand against such overwhelming power. Then the human fleet arrived. Admiral Clark's ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. There were fewer human vessels, but they moved with deadly precision. Each ship knew exactly where it was supposed to be and what it was supposed to do. This was not a mob of warriors charging into battle. This was a machine designed to win wars. Unknown human fleet, Grakthor broadcast. You are outnumbered 10 to 1. Surrender now and we will kill you quickly. Continue this foolish resistance and we will hunt down every member of your species. Admiral Clark's response was broadcast across the entire star system. Warlord Grakthor, you are guilty of genocide, slavery, and crimes against every civilized species in this galaxy. You have one chance to surrender unconditionally. If you refuse, we will demonstrate what total war looks like when waged by creatures from a death world. Grakthor laughed. You think your small fleet can defeat the might of the Vorth Empire? Attack, you fools! Learn what real warriors can do. The Battle of Vorth Prime began with the largest space engagement in galactic history. But it did not end the way anyone expected. The human fleet did not charge forward like the Vorth expected. Instead, they implemented something called Earth Doctrine, a way of fighting that treated war not as a contest of strength, but as a problem to be solved with maximum efficiency. Captain Tony Reeves led the heavy assault ships in a direct attack on the Vorth Center, drawing their attention and firepower. While the enemy focused on this obvious threat, Captain Maya Brooks and her stealth squadron appeared behind the Vorth lines, targeting command ships and communication relays. Meanwhile, General Laura Kim's troop transports, protected by Marine fighter squadrons, bypassed the space battle entirely and headed straight for Vorth Prime itself. The planet's surface defenses were powerful, but they were designed to stop orbital bombardment, not a full-scale invasion by the most experienced ground fighters in human history. The space battle raged for 6 hours. The Vorth fought bravely and died in huge numbers, but they could not adapt to human tactics fast enough to matter. Every time they adjusted to counter one human strategy, the humans switched to something completely different. Captain Stone, commanding the overall fleet operation, watched his tactical display with cold satisfaction. This was not a battle. This was an execution. On the surface of Vorth Prime, General Kim's forces landed in 12 different locations simultaneously. Each landing zone was chosen to cut off escape routes and isolate Vorth command centers. The Marines moved through Vorth cities like a flood of destruction, overwhelming defenders who had never faced enemies who fought with such coordinated fury. But the humans were not just conquering the planet. They were sending a message that would echo across the galaxy for centuries. Every Vorth military base was destroyed completely. Every weapons factory was reduced to rubble. Every government building was occupied by human forces. Within 24 hours of the battle's beginning, Warlord Grakthor sat in chains in his own throne room, looking up at General Laura Kim. His mighty empire was broken. His fleets destroyed, his armies scattered. How? He asked in a voice full of disbelief. How did you defeat us so completely? General Kim looked down at him with eyes as cold as space. Because you are bullies, and bullies always lose when they meet real fighters. You spent centuries terrorizing species who valued peace above war. But we come from a world where everything fights everything else, and only the strongest, smartest, and most ruthless survive. You picked a fight with the apex predators of Earth, Warlord. This is what happens when predators fight back. The Vorth Empire died in 6 days. Not just defeated, but completely dismantled. Human forces occupied every major Vorth world, destroyed every weapon that could threaten peaceful species, and established a new government dedicated to rebuilding what the Empire had destroyed. Admiral Velshan, who had watched the entire campaign from her flagship, sent a message to her people. The nightmare is over. The humans have done what we thought was impossible. They have not just defeated the Vorth, they have eliminated them as a threat forever. But for the humans, this was just the beginning. They had learned that the galaxy was full of species who needed protection, and Earth was uniquely qualified to provide it. The age of human galactic dominance had begun. 3 months after the fall of Vorth Prime, the galaxy was a different place. The silence from former Vorth territory was not the quiet of death, but the peace of reconstruction. Human engineering teams worked alongside freed alien populations to rebuild worlds that had been strip-mined and destroyed. Admiral Velshan stood in the observation deck of her restored flagship, watching human construction ships assemble orbital habitats around her homeworld. The speed and efficiency of human engineering amazed her people. Where Cathera builders created beauty over decades, humans built functional structures in weeks. Captain Rick Stone found her there, looking out at the busy construction zone. His uniform was different now. Instead of military gray, he wore the blue of the new Terran Defense Force. The change in color represented something important. Humans were no longer preparing for war, but maintaining peace. Having second thoughts about our partnership? Stone asked, joining her at the window. Velshan's forearms moved in what humans had learned was a gesture of uncertainty among her people. Not second thoughts, Captain, but concerns. Your people are so different from us. We value harmony, cooperation, the gradual building of consensus. You value efficiency, decisive action, and overwhelming response to threats. And that bothers you? Stone asked. It terrifies me, Velshan admitted. Captain, in 6 days you destroyed an empire that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. What happens when you decide one of your allies has become a threat? What happens when humanity looks at the rest of us and sees enemies instead of friends? Stone was quiet for a long moment, watching human workers guide massive construction beams into position. Admiral, can I tell you a secret about human nature? Please do. We are not naturally aggressive, Stone said. We are naturally protective. Everything we did to the Vorth Empire, we did because they were hurting people we had chosen to protect. Humans do not seek out wars, Admiral. We end them. Before Velshan could respond, her communications officer announced an incoming message. Dr. Lisa Brooks, now serving as Earth's first ambassador to alien species, appeared on the screen from the Galactic Council chambers on the neutral world of Haven. Captain Stone, Admiral Velshan, Brooks said, I need you both here immediately. We have a situation. Within hours, both commanders were in the council chambers, surrounded by representatives from dozens of alien species. The room buzzed with nervous energy as creatures who had never met humans tried to decide how to react to their new galactic neighbors. Dr. Brooks stood at the center of the assembly, translating between species and trying to manage what was clearly a crisis of confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, she announced, we have received 17 separate requests for human military intervention in the past week. Pirates in the Andorian Nebula, slavers in the Outer Rim, a territorial dispute between the Crystalline Collective and the Hive Mind Federation. Everyone wants Earth's help, but no one wants to be the next Vorth Empire. Ambassador Zethkol of the Rigelian Trade Union, a tall insectoid with silver skin, spoke first. Dr. Brooks, we appreciate what humanity did to save the Cathera, but your species' capacity for violence frightens us. How do we know you will not turn your weapons on us when we disagree with your policies? Captain Stone stood up slowly. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone who had fought in the darkest corners of space and emerged victorious. Ambassador Zethkol, let me explain something about human military doctrine. We do not fight for territory, resources, or power. We fight to protect people who cannot protect themselves. If you are not threatening innocent civilians, you have nothing to fear from Earth. But who decides what constitutes a threat? Asked Queen Vashati of the Aquatic Kingdoms, her voice bubbling through her water-filled environment suit. Your people destroyed the Vorth so completely that they will never recover. What if you decide our traditional raiding practices are unacceptable? General Laura Kim, who had been listening quietly, stepped forward. Your Majesty, if your traditional raiding practices involve attacking civilian populations, enslaving children, or committing genocide, then yes, we will find them unacceptable. And we will stop them, permanently. The chamber erupted in nervous chatter. Some species were relieved by the human commitment to protecting civilians. Others worried about human interference in their traditional ways of life. Dr. Brooks raised her hand for silence. This is why we are proposing the Galactic Mutual Defense Pact. Any species that signs this agreement commits to 3 simple principles: no slavery, no genocide, and no attacks on civilian populations. In return, Earth guarantees protection from any force that threatens your civilization's survival. Elder Morden of the Ancient Archive, a being so old that his crystalline body had grown translucent with age, spoke in a voice like wind through stone caverns. Dr. Brooks, what you describe is not a mutual defense pact. It is humanity imposing its moral standards on the rest of the galaxy. With respect, Elder, Captain Stone replied, those are not human moral standards. Those are basic requirements for civilization. Any species that practices slavery, commits genocide, or targets innocent civilians is not civilized. They are predators, and predators understand only one language. Violence? Elder Morden asked. Superior violence, Stone corrected. Elder, my people have spent 10,000 years learning to fight each other. We are very, very good at it. But we prefer not to fight at all. Sign the pact, follow the rules, and humanity will be your greatest ally. Break the rules, and we will be the last thing you ever see. Over the following weeks, the debate continued across the galaxy. Some species signed the pact immediately, grateful for human protection. Others hesitated, worried about surrendering their sovereignty to a species they barely understood. The decision was made for many of them when the Ravager fleets attacked the outer colonies. These were pirates who had been hiding in dark space, waiting for the Vorth Empire's collapse to begin their own campaign of conquest. They struck 12 worlds simultaneously, expecting easy victories over species weakened by centuries of war. They had not counted on the human response time. Captain Maya Brooks, now commanding the Fast Response Squadron UES Swift Justice, arrived at the first attack system within 6 hours of the distress call. Her ships moved through the Ravager fleet like sharks through a school of fish, destroying pirate vessels with ruthless efficiency. But Maya did not just defeat the pirates. She tracked them back to their hidden bases and destroyed their entire organization in a single week. When the last Ravager stronghold fell, she broadcast a message across all known communication channels. This is the Terran Defense Force. We do not negotiate with pirates, slavers, or terrorists. We eliminate them completely. The demonstration had its intended effect. Within a month, 47 species had signed the Galactic Mutual Defense Pact. The holdouts were mostly predator species who made their living raiding weaker. Neighbors Admiral Velshan found Captain Stone in his quarters aboard the UES Retribution, reading reports from across human space. The ship had become a mobile command center, traveling from system to coordinate the new galactic defense network. Captain, she said, I owe you an apology. When I first met your people, I thought you were just another warrior species more advanced than the Vorth but equally violent. I was wrong. Stone looked up from his reports. How so? You are not warriors, Velshan said. You are guardians. There is a difference I did not understand before. Warriors fight for glory, conquest, or profit. Guardians fight only when something they protect is threatened. And what do we protect? Stone asked. Everyone, Velshan replied. Every peaceful species, every innocent civilian, every child who should be allowed to grow up without fear of monsters. You have made the entire galaxy your pack, Captain Stone, and pack animals will kill anything that threatens their family. A new alarm sounded on Stone's communications panel. Another distress signal. This one from the far edge of the galaxy where unknown threats were attacking a species that had only recently developed spaceflight. Stone stood up and reached for his uniform jacket. Admiral, would you like to come with us? It looks like someone else needs help. Velshan's large eyes reflected the starlight streaming through the observation windows. Captain, do you ever get tired of fighting other people's wars? Stone paused at the door and looked back at her. Admiral, they are not other people's wars anymore. When you call for help, when anyone calls for help, it becomes our war, and we do not lose wars. As the UES Retribution changed course toward the new crisis, Stone reflected on how much had changed since that first desperate alien message reached Earth. Humanity had not sought to become galactic protectors. They had simply answered a call for help and discovered that the galaxy was full of people who needed protecting. The universe was vast and dangerous, filled with predators who saw compassion as weakness and mercy as invitation to attack. But now it also contained something new, a species that had learned to be stronger, faster and more ruthless than any predator, but used that strength only to protect those who could not protect themselves. In space, new distress signals arrived daily. Pirates to defeat, tyrants to overthrow, disasters to resolve. Each time the response was the same.